The crying came muffled, almost silent, but it was the truest sound that echoed through that house of marble and glass. The Blackwell mansion stood atop a hill in Arlington, Virginia, surrounded by perfect lawns and hidden cameras in every corner. Inside, the head maid walked hurriedly through the main hallway, radio in her ear, panic on her face. The little girl was crying again, and the charity event started in 3 hours. Under the wrought iron table in the garden, a 6-year-old girl curled up her body as if trying to fit inside her own silence. Her name was Emily Blackwell. She had been deaf since birth. Tears slid slowly down her cheeks, her face flushed from holding them back, her eyes searching the void for an explanation. Her hands trembled in her lap, trapped, powerless. The noise of adults around her, footsteps, voices, commands, was nothing but vibration in the floor, in the air, in the walls. Emily couldn't hear, but she felt everything. The nanny, a thin and tense woman, knelt beside the table, forcing a smile. "Candy? Want your iPad? Your favorite video?" she asked, gesturing awkwardly, more out of desperation than understanding. Emily looked away. She knew that woman didn't understand her. None of them did. In that house, no one spoke her language. Upstairs, Veronica Blackwell, the stepmother, lay in her private spa with a golden mask covering her face. Her phone vibrated beside her, buzzing with Instagram notifications. In the caption of her last post, she smiled with Emily on her lap, writing, "Stepmom life 2 hearts #blessed #family goals." In reality, Emily had never been allowed to call her mom. The housekeeper sighed and grabbed the radio. "Mrs. Peterson calling, someone locate Mr. Blackwell, please. The girl won't stop crying and the benefit starts at 7. The answer came fast and cold, "Mr. Blackwell is in London, finalizing the acquisition deal. He must not be disturbed." Richard Blackwell, billionaire of the tech sector, hadn't heard his own name inside his own house for months. Since marrying Veronica, his time was divided between jets, meetings, and numbers with more zeros than people around him. Emily, the daughter from his first marriage, had become increasingly invisible. Downstairs, the cleaning crew worked in silence. One of the workers, Rosa Martinez, was new. A Latina from El Paso, she had supported her son alone since her husband died in a construction accident. Rosa had started there just 2 weeks earlier, and because she had no one to leave her boy with during summer break, she'd asked permission to bring him, just for a few hours. The boy's name was Sam. He was 9 years old, sharp-eyed, quiet, hiding too much curiosity for his age. Rosa made him promise, "Don't leave the kitchen, Samuel. And not a word to the bosses." "I know, Mama," he whispered. "I'll just draw." But the sound of the crying broke through doors, floors, and promises. Sam looked outside and saw the girl under the table, rocking back and forth, trying to contain what wouldn't fit inside. There was something in that movement he recognized, the same kind of loneliness he saw in his mother when she thought no one was watching. "She's deaf, isn't she?" Sam asked the cook, who was cutting vegetables absent-mindedly. "Yeah. And nobody here's got patience for that, Mijo. Better stay out of it." But he was already standing. Sam crossed the garden, the summer heat sticking to his skin. The housekeeper tried to stop him but didn't have time. The boy crouched down, looked under the table, and waited for the girl to notice him. When Emily lifted her eyes, he smiled. Then, slowly, he made a simple gesture with his hands. "Hi." Emily blinked. She didn't expect anyone there to speak her language. Sam continued, hesitant but correct, "Are you okay?" The girl hesitated, then answered, her fingers trembling. "It hurts." "Where?" he asked. She lifted her sleeve, showing her forearm. Dark bruises, shaped like fingers. Sam felt his stomach tighten. "Who did this?" Emily lowered her hands, glancing around in fear. Then signed, "Her." "The woman from the pictures." Sam swallowed hard. The housekeeper approached, alarmed. "Sam, what are you doing?" She's hurt," he said, trying to translate. "And she's afraid of her stepmother." The woman's eyes widened. "Don't say that, boy. You want to get us fired?" But what came next made her blood run cold. Emily looked directly at the housekeeper, then signed again. Sam translated, slowly. "She says her stepmother locks her in a dark closet when she makes too much noise. Yesterday it was because she spilled perfume." Silence fell heavy. The sound of the wind in the trees seemed distant. That's absurd," stammered the nanny. "Mrs. Veronica would never do such a thing." Sam turned to Emily again. "Is it true?" The girl nodded, eyes glassy, then added, "She says my dad doesn't want me anymore." That was the moment when the last pillar of the perfect facade began to crack. The housekeeper froze. The nanny looked around as if expecting hidden cameras. Rosa, watching from afar, felt her heart in her throat. She knew that kind of power, the kind that buys silence. "Sam, come inside, now," ordered Rosa, stepping forward. "Mom, she needs help." The boy protested. "And we need this job," she whispered, though her voice trembled. While they argued, the glass door slid open. Veronica Blackwell appeared, dressed head to toe in white, oversized sunglasses, and a glass of green juice in her hand. "What's this noise?" she asked, her voice sweet and sharp. "Emily, why aren't you ready for the magazine photos yet?" No one answered. Emily shrank behind Sam. Veronica walked toward her, crouching with a frozen smile. "Darling, don't be difficult. Today's an important day. Let's show the world how happy we are." The housekeeper tried to intervene. "Ma'am, maybe the girl should rest a bit." Veronica turned, the smile vanishing. "And you think you know better than I do what my stepdaughter needs?" Sam, trembling, lifted his chin. "She's hurt." "What?" Veronica laughed, strained. "And who are you?" "Sam Martinez." "Ah, right. The cleaner's boy. How convenient." Her voice hardened. "And what exactly do you know about this?" I speak her language." "What language?" Veronica asked, confused. "Hers." And Sam made a small sign in the air. For a second, the woman froze. The smile faded. Behind the glasses, her eyes narrowed. "Interesting," she murmured. "Well then, little interpreter, tell my stepdaughter that if she keeps making up stories, she'll regret it." Rosa yanked her son back. "That's enough," she shouted. You've gone too far. Veronica spun on her heels and looked at her as if crushing an insect. You're fired. Then fire me. But what that girl said is true. The tension sliced the air like a knife. The housekeeper, trembling, grabbed the emergency phone. Mrs. Blackwell, please, I have to report this. Don't you dare, Veronica hissed. But it was too late. The call went through. Police cars arrived quietly, without sirens, through the side gate. 2 officers and a social worker got out. One of them recognized the Blackwell name, the kind that usually makes problems disappear. But the social worker, Dr. Karen Moore, spoke with the confidence of someone unafraid of last names. Emily, is it okay if I talk with you and Sam for a bit? She asked, kneeling. Sam translated. Emily nodded, still holding her bruised arm. For half an hour, Karen and Sam talked with Emily in ASL. Slowly, the girl opened up. Each gesture was a confession. Each pause, an open wound. When Karen stood up, her eyes were moist. We need to contact her father, she said simply. By 11 that night, the private jet of Blackwell Industries landed at Dulles. Richard came down without a suit, without a smile, his face that of a man starting to realize no amount of money can buy lost time. He entered the mansion and found his daughter asleep on the couch, the social worker sitting beside her. Karen stood up. Mr. Blackwell, your wife has been taken in for questioning. Your daughter's safe for now. Questioning? His voice broke. What did she do? Best you hear it from Emily herself. Sam was there too, sitting beside Rosa, small, serious. Richard looked at him with curiosity and unease. You are... Sam, sir. I just helped translate. Translate? Richard frowned. In sign language? In ASL, sir. American Sign Language. You speak that? A bit. My cousin's deaf. Richard took a deep breath, turned to his daughter, knelt before her, and clumsily signed, Hi. Daddy here. Emily looked at him in shock. For the first time in months, he tried to speak her language. He stumbled through the gestures, but insisted, Are you okay? She took a while to answer. Then signed, She hurt me. I tried to tell you. You didn't come. Richard closed his eyes. I know. His voice cracked. I should have come. He hugged her awkwardly, and the girl cried on his shoulder, soundless, only her body trembling. When they pulled apart, Karen explained the rest. Veronica was caught trying to leave the city. In her car, we found folders with confidential company documents. Richard stared at her, stunned. Documents? About something called Project Sparrow. Do you know what that is? His expression changed. Yes, he said, breath shallow. And it's something she was never supposed to touch. He looked again at Emily, then at Sam. I have to take care of you now. But before he could say more, a security guard rushed in. Sir. Veronica's gone. She escaped the station. Richard stared into the void for a few seconds, then murmured, Whatever she's planning, it started here. And it's going to end here. The next morning, the sun came into the mansion with a cold, artificial light reflecting off the glass walls. Richard had turned his office into a crisis center. Men in suits arrived with laptops, talking in terms no one else understood: cyber breach, data leak, counterintelligence. Rosa and Sam, still staying at the house, watched from a distance. Emily wouldn't leave Sam's side. Richard approached them. "Sam, can I ask you something?" "Yes, sir." "Could you keep helping me talk to Emily?" "Of course. She trusts me." "I can see that." While they talked, Emily appeared holding something in her hands, a small, scratched metal box. She placed it on the table and signed, "Found it." It was hers. Richard opened it. Inside was a black phone, unusual, without a logo. He turned it on. The screen flickered, asking for a passcode. "Do you know it?" he asked. Emily nodded, carefully typing the numbers. The phone unlocked. A map appeared, a single red dot glowing in the middle of nowhere, Montana wilderness. Richard's stomach went cold. "She's heading to the lab." Karen stepped closer. "Lab?" "The Project Sparrow test facility. The project's a cyber defense AI. If she takes it, it's not just my company at risk." He looked up. "I have to go after her." Sam looked at Emily. She signed something quickly. She said to be careful. "Tell her I promise. And that when I'm back, I'll learn every sign in this language." Emily made a small gesture, almost a smile. "Promise." The wind blew hard over the open fields of Virginia as helicopters began circling the area. Inside the Blackwell mansion, the atmosphere was heavy, a dense silence broken only by hurried orders and the hum of computers that had turned the home into an improvised base. Emily watched from the corner of the room, hugging the stuffed rabbit Sam had fixed for her. Her fingers moved restlessly in the air, short anxious signs. Sam translated softly, "She wants to know if her dad will come back." Rosa stroked the girl's hair, exhausted. "He will, sweetheart." He promised. But even the adults knew that promises were fragile when it came to a woman like Veronica. In an improvised command room, Richard spoke with federal agents and security analysts. In the middle of the table, a map of Montana glowed with a blinking red dot. "That facility's not on any official record," one of the agents said. "Seems to have been built as a private research center, but there are signs of foreign server connections." "She's using Project Sparrow for something bigger," Richard said, tense. "The system can break any encryption. If it falls into the wrong hands, the entire U.S. defense network could be compromised." The agent nodded. "And Mrs. Blackwell counts as wrong hands?" "She's not Mrs. Blackwell," Richard said flatly. "She never was." Meanwhile, upstairs, Emily was on her tablet. Sam watched, curious. She was drawing a building surrounded by trees, with tunnels underneath. "What's that?" he asked. Emily replied with quick signs. "I dreamed about this place. I think that's where she is." Sam frowned. What if it's not just a dream? Rosa called them for dinner, but Sam couldn't take his eyes off the drawing. The shape of the building looked familiar, as if he'd seen it before. Then he remembered the map on Veronica's phone that Richard had shown earlier. The outlines matched. 3 days passed. No news. The government kept everything classified. Officially, Veronica was missing. In reality, she was a fugitive threat. That morning, as the lazy sun rose, the mansion's electronic gate opened for a black SUV with tinted windows. Two men stepped out, showing badges. The older one, gray-haired, approached the housekeeper. "Agent Holloway, Department of Defense. We're here on Mr. Blackwell's request." He climbed the stairs without waiting. Inside the office, he found Richard, deep dark circles under his eyes, too much caffeine in his veins. "We traced her last transmission," Holloway said. "She made contact with someone in Russian territory." "She's not selling the project," Richard replied. "She's trying to finish something. A prototype." The agent stared. "And you know where?" "Yes. In an underground facility. I designed that blueprint." Holloway held his gaze. "Then we need you there." Richard exhaled deeply. "And my daughter? We'll leave protection here." He hesitated, but he knew he had no choice. If Veronica completed that prototype, the whole world would be at risk. That afternoon, as Richard boarded the helicopter to Montana with the tactical team, Sam and Emily were playing in the garden. The wind felt heavy, an omen. The housekeeper watched them carefully. Rosa, however, noticed something odd: two security guards she'd never seen before, pacing too much, watching the children too closely. One of them received a message on his radio and nodded subtly. Rosa approached, uneasy. "You two are new here?" The man smiled. "Temporary transfer. Mr. Blackwell's orders." But something was wrong in that smile. Before she could react, another man appeared behind her. In seconds, the muffled sound of a struggle filled the air. The housekeeper heard a short scream and ran, but it was too late. Rosa was on the ground, and Sam and Emily were being dragged into the SUV. The car sped off, gate wide open, the housekeeper's screams echoing in the courtyard. Hours later, at the Montana base, Richard got the news. "Sir, the house was attacked," said one of the agents. "Two fake guards, likely infiltrators. The children are gone." "What?" Richard shouted, jumping up. "And the security team?" "System was disabled. It was professional work." "Veronica," he whispered. "She's trying to distract me." Holloway stared at him grimly. "Or she's making sure you'll comply." Richard clenched his fists. "We end this now." The basement of the Montana facility was cold, metallic, windowless. Veronica watched technicians assemble something that looked like a glass heart glowing blue, the core of Project Sparrow. A technician approached. "The code still needs the original key, ma'am." "And I know who has it," she said coldly. "Richard." She turned toward a monitor showing live footage from the mansion's security cameras. Sam and Emily sat in a corner, tied but alive. Veronica typed something, then opened a video channel. Richard's face appeared on the base's screen. "Veronica," he said, voice icy. "Where are the kids?" "Safe. For now. If you touch them, oh, Richard, spare me the drama. I just want what's mine. Send me the Sparrow activation key, and I'll release them." Richard breathed slowly, trying to stay composed. "And what will you do with the system?" "Free the world from your control," she said with a smile. "Or maybe control it myself. Haven't decided yet." The screen went black. Holloway looked at Richard. "If you give her that key, she'll have full access to the nation's defense. And if I don't, she kills my son and daughter." A heavy silence fell. At the mansion, time seemed frozen. The FBI team combed every room. Rosa, injured but conscious, insisted on helping. There were two of them. One had an accent, sounded European. They took the kids in a black car, no plates. An agent examined the security feeds. They knew exactly where the blind spots were. This was planned from inside. Rosa gripped the edge of the counter, shaking. "I should have protected them. This isn't your fault," said Agent Karen, placing a hand on her shoulder. "And we can still find them." On the monitors, an alert appeared, transmission intercepted. Coordinates detected. "We've got a video feed from Veronica's system," announced a technician. The footage showed Emily and Sam in a concrete room, cameras in the corners. Karen stared hard. "It's an underground facility." "Montana," Rosa said, recognizing the mountains through a small window. "That's where Mr. Blackwell went." Meanwhile, in the hideout, Emily tried to stay calm. Sam, wrists tied, whispered, "We'll get out of here. I promise." She made a quick sign, "I trust you." Sam looked at the cameras, then at a small air conditioning panel on the wall. "I think I can loosen this." He used his shoelace as a makeshift wire, working at the screw. Emily, with effort, used her body to block the view from the cameras. After a few minutes, the panel came off, revealing a narrow vent. "You can fit," he said. "Go, find help." Emily shook her head. "Together." "Emily, you have to go." She looked at him and signed firmly, "You speak for me." "I stay with you." Sam swallowed hard. "Then we'll find another way." At the base, Richard stared at the same video feed. "They're trying to escape," he muttered, noticing the movement. Holloway allowed a faint smile. "Smart kid." But before they could act, an alarm blared. A technician shouted, "Project Sparrow just activated remotely." Richard ran to the console. "How's that possible?" "I didn't give her the key." "Someone inside must have," Holloway said, tense. "We've got a mole." The screens began to flicker, lines of code racing. Richard understood instantly. "She's trying to take control of the entire defense network." Across the country, Veronica watched the servers light up, the blue core pulsing stronger. "We did it," said one scientist. "Not yet," she replied. "We need to stabilize the matrix. If it fails, half the complex will explode. Then we should stop." "No. I didn't stop for anything till now." She pressed the communicator. "Check on the kids. If they try to escape, use Plan B." One of the guards entered the room where Sam and Emily were held. "You two, get up." Sam stepped in front of the girl. "Leave her alone." The man laughed. "Brave, huh?" Let's see how long that lasts. He moved closer, but before he could react, Emily swung the loosened panel at him. It hit his face. He stumbled. Sam took the chance and bolted for the door. The girl followed. The corridor was narrow, red lights flashing. Alarms screamed. At the military base, the radars picked up underground explosions. She triggered the self-destruct protocol. A technician yelled. Holloway turned to Richard. We've got to go in now. Richard grabbed his vest and climbed aboard the helicopter. I'm getting my kids back. Inside the facility, Veronica watched chaos unfold. Lights flickered, smoke rose from the panels. The scientist screamed, "The reactor's going to collapse. Shut up and keep working." But when she looked at the monitor, something froze her blood. Emily and Sam were running through the corridors. How did they escape? She shouted. Bring those kids back now. She left the room, gun in hand. The sound of helicopter blades thundered outside. Sam pulled Emily by the hand, trying to remember the way. This way. He pointed, seeing an emergency exit. But when they opened the door, they came face to face with Veronica. She aimed the gun. Game's over. Emily froze, breathing fast. She stared at the woman with a mix of fear and anger. Veronica smiled, cynical. You've always been a troublesome child. Time to go to sleep. But before she could shoot, Sam threw himself in front of her, pushing her. The shot hit the ceiling. Veronica stumbled, lost her balance, and fell onto a metal grate that gave way beneath her. A short scream, then silence. The sound of explosions drowned everything. Sam turned to Emily. Come on. They ran through the red-lit corridor until the bright light of the exit appeared ahead. Outside, cold air and the roar of helicopter blades enveloped them. Strong hands pulled them to safety. We've got them, shouted a soldier. Richard rushed out and hugged them both at once. Are you okay? Emily cried, her hands trembling. I thought you wouldn't come. I promised, remember? He said, speaking and signing at the same time. And I keep my promises. Holloway looked back toward the collapsing facility. We need to get out of here. The helicopter lifted off, carrying the children and Richard. The explosion lit up the night, swallowing the mountain in a wave of fire and dust. From above, Emily looked out the window, the reflection of the flames dancing in her eyes. Sam held her hand. It's over, he said, exhausted. Emily shook her head. It's begun. The smoke from the explosion still rose over the Montana mountains as the helicopter flew away. From above, Richard watched the glow slowly fade, like a heart losing its last beat. The project that had consumed years of his life was now ashes, along with everything that had almost destroyed his family. Emily slept with her head on his lap. Sam, exhausted, held her hand, fighting sleep as if afraid to wake and find it had all been a bad dream. Richard looked at him and said softly, You saved my daughter. Sam looked up, surprised. I just tried to help. You tried, and you did. You were braver than most men I've met. At dawn, the helicopter landed on a military field. Ambulances waited. Emily was quickly examined, no serious injuries, just exhaustion and fear. Sam, scratched and distant-eyed, refused to leave her side. When a medic tried to take him to the infirmary, Emily made a quick sign, "He stays with me." No translator was needed. Her tone was non-negotiable. In the following days, the headlines exploded in the press. Billionaire's wife suspected of espionage dies in Montana explosion. Ultra-secret tech project targeted in international infiltration. Richard read none of it. He spent all his time between his daughter and the silence that follows trauma. The government isolated the family, classified the Project Sparrow files, and erased Veronica's name from every record. In the mansion, now guarded day and night, the atmosphere was different. No more parties, fake smiles, or frantic servants trying to please a cruel mistress. The walls themselves seemed to breathe, as if after years of oppression, they could finally rest. Rosa, still recovering from her wound, was called by Richard for a talk. "I understand if you want to go home. But if you wish, you can stay." "Stay?" "Yes. I want you to. You, your son," and he looked toward the stairs, where Emily peeked from behind the railing. "My daughter needs you." Rosa hesitated. "Sir, we're employees." "No," he cut her off gently but firmly. "We're family now." She looked at him, eyes glistening, not knowing what to say. Sam appeared behind her, hands stained with paint, a sketchbook in his grasp. Emily, shy, came down the steps. She signed to him, "Can we draw together?" He smiled. "Always." Weeks passed. The house, once a museum of silence, filled with voices. Richard hired an ASL teacher for all the staff. Mornings now had the sound of laughter, running footsteps, and hands dancing in the air. In the garden, Emily taught Rosa and Sam how to sign, correcting them patiently. Richard joined the lessons, fumbling through each movement but determined. One day, during one of those lessons, Emily came close, touched his face with both hands, a tender, solemn gesture, and signed, "You hear with your heart now." Richard smiled, eyes moist. "Yes, sweetheart. And I promise I'll never stop listening." As time passed, the wounds left by Veronica began to heal. But deep down, Richard knew something still lingered. One afternoon, a federal agent visited, carrying a sealed envelope. "We found this among the debris," the man said. "Thought you should see it." Inside was a letter, edges burned. The handwriting was unmistakable, Veronica's. "If you're reading this, then I failed. I never meant to love anyone, Richard. But Emily, she disarmed me. Maybe because she reminded me of who I was before I became what I am. Tell her I'm sorry. And tell yourself that silence also speaks, if you know how to listen." Richard folded the letter slowly, a mix of rage and sorrow washing over him. He locked it away in a box, along with the destroyed phone and project notes. Then he walked into the garden, where Emily and Sam were playing cards under the sun. The girl noticed his expression and came closer. She signed, "Sad?" "A little." "She's gone." "Yes." He paused. "And we stayed. That's what matters." In early autumn, the family moved temporarily to a smaller house on the coast of Maine. The sea became their refuge. Emily woke early to watch the sunrise with Sam, both silent, sharing hot chocolate and a peace they'd never known. Rosa opened a small cafe in the nearby village with Richard's support. She called it Second Chance Cafe. It became the town's morning hub, filled with laughter and the smell of fresh bread. Richard, retired from the company, threw himself into a new mission, a national program to teach sign language in public schools. He named it the Emily Initiative. "If my daughter couldn't be heard when she needed it most," he said, "no other child will go unheard again." Emily became a symbol, unintentionally. Magazines wanted interviews, NGOs requested videos. She politely declined. All she wanted was normalcy. One Sunday afternoon, sunlight streamed through the windows as she entered her father's office. She signed, "Can I see the project?" Richard hesitated, then nodded. He showed her the reworked Sparrow prototype, now designed for civilian safety, not military. "I turned it into something good," he said. "It protects hospitals, schools, nursing homes. No government can use it unsupervised." Emily studied the screens, then signed, "You changed the world because you listened to a child. I changed because I learned from her." But the past rarely disappears completely. One day, an anonymous envelope arrived at Rosa's cafe. Inside was a black and white photograph of Veronica beside an unknown man, both smiling. On the back, a handwritten note, "She survived." Rosa brought the photo to Richard immediately. He studied it, serious, then threw it into the fireplace. Could be fake. Could be real. Doesn't matter. He added, staring at the flames, "If she's alive, she knows where to find me." That night, Emily had a nightmare. She dreamed of Veronica calling her name in a dark hallway. She woke up sweating, heart racing. Sam, in the next room, ran when he heard her gasp. "It's okay, Em. Just a dream. She was here." She signed, shaking. Sam held her hands. "Even if she was, we're not afraid anymore. Together, remember?" Emily took a deep breath and nodded. Together. Time passed. 2 years. The Emily Initiative spread across the U.S., and in every school there was now a panel showing two hands meeting, the gesture for understanding. Richard refused to take credit, saying it all came from two children who understood each other when the whole world refused to listen. Sam grew up, earned a scholarship in linguistics. Emily, at 9, was already interpreting lectures and helping other deaf children communicate. They became inseparable, connected by something greater than friendship, an unbreakable bond born of fear and healed by trust. On Emily's birthday, Richard surprised her. He set up a large screen in the garden and played a video, old moments, photos of her learning sign language, clips with Rosa, with Sam, laughter captured in time. At the end, a simple message from him, spoken aloud and signed, "I hear you, Emily. Always." The girl cried, ran to hug him. Sam filmed, laughing. Rosa applauded softly from the corner. That was the moment everyone understood, the circle was complete. Months later, Richard was invited to Washington for a conference on digital security. In the auditorium, surrounded by executives and politicians, he walked calmly to the stage and began his speech. 2 years ago, I believed technology was the most powerful force in the world. Today, I know it's not. The most powerful force is empathy, the ability to understand even those who don't speak our language. The audience listened in silence. On the big screen, images of the educational project appeared, followed by a photo of Emily and Sam smiling. One day, he continued, a child told me that silence also speaks. And she was right. If we have the courage to listen, we can change everything. The auditorium rose in applause. That night, back in Maine, the sky was clear. Emily and Sam sat on the porch, watching the stars reflected in the dark sea. Emily sighed, "Do you think she's up there?" "Who?" "Her." Sam thought for a moment. "Maybe. Or maybe she's somewhere learning what love really means." Emily smiled. "I forgave her." "I know. That's why you're stronger than she ever was." Richard came out with mugs of hot chocolate, sat beside them, calm gaze on the stars. "You know what that constellation means?" he asked, pointing. "Two stars that orbit each other, never too far apart." "Like us?" Emily sighed. "Exactly." The ocean breeze carried a soft laugh into the night. For the first time, that sound wasn't made of pain, but of peace. Months later, one morning, Richard received a letter with no sender. Inside, only a butterfly-shaped pendant, the same one Veronica always wore. No note. Just the symbol. He put it away in a box and never mentioned it to anyone. Some ghosts deserve to rest in silence. Years passed. Emily grew up. She became an interpreter and activist for the rights of the deaf. Sam graduated and worked alongside her, translating the stories of children who had never been heard before. Richard, now retired, smiled watching them travel across the country, giving talks together. In an interview, Emily was asked what it meant to her to be the girl who made the world listen. She answered in signs, later translated by Sam, "The world didn't learn to listen to me. I learned to make it understand." Then she added, looking calmly at the audience, "Sometimes, silence is just the beginning of the conversation." In the final scene, the garden of the old mansion, now turned into an inclusive learning institute, is full of children of all ages. Some deaf, others not. All playing together, learning to speak with their hands and their hearts. Emily, now an adult, walks among them, watching. The wind blows gently, leaves dancing in the air. A little girl approaches and asks, with uncertain signs, "How do you say love?" Emily smiles and shows the gesture, a closed fist over the heart, moving forward. The girl repeats it, and Emily corrects her softly. In the distance, Sam takes a photo of the scene. Rosa serves lemonade to the students. Richard, gray-haired, watches in silence, proud. As the sun begins to set, Emily looks up and signs to her father, "I love you." He replies, his hands trembling but steady, "I love you too."